Hello, friends. This is going to be my March wrap up, and kind of per usual, I am just winging it a little bit. I swear every time I make notes, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. I should do this every time. And then do I do that? Not really. I do always end up feeling like I ramble too much when I don't have notes, but then sometimes it goes okay. I have my spreadsheet open, so I'm ready with some stats. So I read 14 books for a total of 3,800 pages, like a nice even number. 47 hours and 4 minutes of audio. Not as high for audio as February, but the highest in books read and pages read. The first book that I finished was Winterlight, which is book 7 of the Green Rider series. It was a reread, but it was only the second time I had read it, so there was definitely a lot of refreshing happening. And I didn't quite remember that it ended where it did. And like I definitely got the order of some things wrong in my mind, so it was nice to have that refresher before I went into book 8, which I also finished. That was Falling in a Sea of Stars. I feel like I can't really talk about it super specifically. It definitely was like moving things around and like getting people in place, and like things happen for the bigger like final challenges coming up, because I think there's only going to be 10 books. I think a lot of things got put in place for what's happening later, and we did get an announcement that book 9 is actually coming out in December of this year, which is amazing because there's usually a pretty big gap between, like a 3 or 4 year gap in between as she writes the books. I really enjoyed it. Of course, like I was almost finishing it when we got the announcement, and I was like, do I want to reread these in December? Or maybe I can request an arc again for book 9 and see what happens. Oh my gosh. Do you have a fish? Bert has a fish. Albert, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. We were doing yard work over the weekend, and we have a catio, and he brought his fish outside into the catio, ran inside when we didn't immediately let him out, and we could see him at the back door, and then he ran back outside in the catio with the fish still in his mouth. Maybe I'll insert like a little bit of a clip. It was very cute. Anyway, I also picked up The Dream Gatherer, which is like a couple short stories and like well, I guess it's technically like 3 short stories kind of in one novella. And these are all set in the Green Rider world. So it was really nice to finally get to this. It was also one of the books on my 26 books list. So it is nice to feel like I'm making progress with some of those things. I guess I didn't really specify the number of audiobooks versus physical books. There were 3 audiobooks. 1, 2, 3, 3 ebooks. And then the rest were physical. I definitely listen to an audiobook and then usually have a physical book going at the same time. A lot of March, and actually the first 3 months of the year, have been spent trying to read books ahead of pre-orders for special editions. And one of the special editions that was recently announced is from Fairy Loot, and that's for Servant of Earth. And then the sequel, Princess of Blood. Servant of Earth is about a girl named Kenna, and there is a tithing festival. Several girls from the village get selected to like go join the land of the Fae, and they go through this bog. Kenna is not selected, but her best friend is. And so she lives right on the edge of the bog and like finds different treasures. The day before the festival, she finds this mysterious dagger. When her best friend gets selected, she like tries to lead them across the bog safely because she knows it really well. She knows the paths to take. On their way, they get attacked, and when she arrives, she's the only one left. And so she gets taken into the underground kingdom, and she's basically turned into a servant for one of the princesses of one of the houses in order to gain like the full use of their magic. And when they come of age, they go through these trials, and there are, I think it's 6 trials, and they take place over several months. There's like an evil king and like 2 hot princes and all that kind of thing. And so you do kind of know where things are going, especially in the first book with like the trials and the princes and you know, getting drawn into other conflicts and all that kind of thing. But the world building is done really well, and the character development is done really well, and then like the plot makes sense, like the rules of the world make sense. And then you get into the second book and things just go kind of wild a little bit. The way that this second book ended made me so mad, mostly because it ends on like a pretty big cliffhanger, and I'm like so upset that I have to wait until the end of the year to get my hands on the third book. It's kind of upsetting. Maybe I'll request an arc of this one too. Just see if I can get my hands on it that way. I do think I will end up ordering the Fairy Loot editions of these. 1, they were beautiful, and 2, I really enjoyed these, and I'm really looking forward to the third one. Continuing our theme of reading before pre-orders, I also picked up The Temptation of Magic. I actually really enjoyed this one as well, and did end up reordering the sequel. This is set like in our world, but there are magical creatures that live in it. Nicole is our main character. She is what's called an Imperial, basically like a hunter of magical creatures doing wrong. And there's an organization called the Wake that has basically made it so all of the Imperials have to work for them. And she's an art history student, so she has finally gotten access to this collection of paintings that portray Imperials and like help visualize their history. After certain events take place, the Wake's highest ranking Imperial arrives, and he kind of inserts himself into her life. And so they kind of team up together. I don't know. It was a really unique story. I really liked the art history aspects of it. I thought they were like really cleverly inserted. And it's set in this like coastal English university town. I am really glad because like when I got it, I was really excited about it. And I'm glad that it lived up to expectations in terms of enjoyment. So that was really exciting. You know, I don't know that I put that in here. Yeah, I think I missed one. So I think I actually read 15 books. So after I finished The Temptation of Magic, I read Accidentally Wedded to a Werewolf. This was a book on KU. So it's this woman who is in Alaska for a conference, and it starts snowing on her way to the airport, and she tries to pull off into a little town and see if there's an inn or something. She loses control of her car and hits their sign. And so she goes in and is like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, can I stay here for the night? I'll pay for the sign. The inn is run by werewolves. And as she's waiting for a room, and she notices a bottle of liquid that looks like you should drink it on the counter. And so she drinks it. And it turns out it's like the bonding potion for the pack. Male main character has also taken a sip of it. And so now they are bonded, which is like not quite the same as married. But it turns out that she has a fiance and she's supposed to get married to him in like a month or 2 months or something like that. So this really throws a wrench in her plan. And there is a flower that you can make for the unbonding ceremony. And so she has to wait until it's warm enough to go find the flower, and their attraction grows, and luckily her fiance is very laid back and is like, look, as long as you end up marrying me, you can bone him. So she's like, we're both really attracted to each other because of this potion, and like at least a little bit in general. So we should just do it. And the guy's like, okay, bet. We all know where this is going. It was fine. I think if the premise sounds like something you would enjoy, go for it. I just think there was like potential for it to be really good and to be a really big examination of like validation. And like she does end up going into town and helping people, but it's like very surface level. And I don't know. I don't know if this is a debut or not, but I think it could have been better with just a few little tweaks to the story. The next audiobook that I finished is Bone Shard Daughter. This is also a reread. I read this a while ago. I think 2022 is when I read it, so 4 years ago. I really enjoyed it the first time around because it's this really great blend of genres. Like there's a little bit of like horror mystery. I don't know if I would even say horror, but like creepy palace with locked rooms and mystery surrounding everything. For a quick synopsis, you follow Lynn, who is the emperor's daughter, and she lives in the creepy palace and has lost a lot of her memories. Her father is trying to help her regain these memories. I don't know if help is the right word, but he is basically challenging her to recover her memory. And once she does, he gives her a key to like different locked rooms in the palace, and she's competing with his foster son. And she thinks that unless she does all of the things that he is tasking her to do, that she's not going to be selected as the emperor, like as his heir. The other aspect for Lynn's quest for information is that her father knows bone shard magic, and until she recovers more of her memory and has gone into like the secret locked libraries and that sort of thing, he's not going to teach her, but he's already started teaching his foster son. She feels like she's just constantly scrambling to catch up. And that's where our second character comes in. His name is Jovis. He a little bit, when I first read this, he a little bit reminded me of Flynn Rider from Tangled, if Flynn was a smuggler instead of a thief. Several years ago, Jovis's wife went missing, and he saw this ship leaving the island, and that's like his only clue as to information on her whereabouts, like where she might be. And so he's been hunting for this ship for several years. He has also been tasked with smuggling kids away from the tithing festivals, which are where I think it's all 8-year-olds. They're like gathered in the town square, and like a soldier will just like take a chunk of their skull or something, and then it gets sent to the emperor so he can use it for his bone shard magic, which power these things called constructs, which are like amalgamations of different creatures, like different animals, and used for different purposes. Like there's ones that are bureaucratic, there's ones for war, there's ones for spying. So one day Jovis is rescuing a kid from the tithing festival, and the island that they're on starts sinking. It's called the Drowning Empire trilogy, and in this world they're like floating islands that kind of like rotate around. And then we also have Falu and then Pranami are the only other two. No, we have another character named Sand. They're all on different islands. It's one of those books where you get all these different perspectives, and then you kind of see how their stories interconnect as the story progresses. And it's also one of those where I'm like, I have no idea where this is going, and the world is really unique, and I've never seen anything like it before. And so it was the first time I read it, it was such a cool read because I'd never read anything like it before. It was a similar feeling the second time around. I don't even know that there's really anything that I could compare this to. There are some books that I have it shelved with where I'm like, okay, like they use bone magic or like teeth magic in the story. So I'm like, okay, these are kind of similar that way, but nothing quite like this in terms of setting or anything. I actually just picked up the third book today and started listening to it, and I'm like stressed. After that, I picked up the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. So I read Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Kingdom of the Feared. These two were rereads, and then I finally got to Kingdom of the Feared, and this was also one of the series on my 26 series list. I can't say that I had a great time with this because like this was okay because I'd read it before, but I was like, I just don't think we're asking great questions. And I don't know that we're paying attention to the things that we need to be paying attention to. If you don't know, this is about a girl named Amelia, and she has a twin named Vittoria, and they live on Sicily, are witches. Like one day she finds Vittoria killed and like her heart pulled out. She discovers pages pulled out of a grimoire that can summon a demon. And so she summons a demon and accidentally summons a prince of hell. She conscripts him to help her figure out what happened to her sister. And so we have that story in this first one. And then it continues into the next two. And this one takes place actually in hell. I remember enjoying this one the first time around and then just being like, why did I like this so much? We are once again asking terrible questions and focusing on the wrong thing and just letting our emotions take hold when we could just be like a little bit logical about this. Be like, okay, it seems like you can't actually tell me things. Can I ask the questions that will help me get closer to the things that you cannot tell me about? And then there's also this mystery, like this greater mystery where things are hidden and like potentially memories are hidden. And so she's learning a lot more about that. And then you discover, obviously this is the conclusion of the trilogy, so you get all the answers in here. I have to say that I skipped like the first third of the book, like the first half of the book, and then read the second half. And I was like, you know what? That's totally fine because I feel like I actually got answers in the second half. And I went back and like skimmed the first half and was like, oh no, this is all just like, I'm so glad I just skipped all of the emotional nonsense. And what I was trying to do is read this series, and then I have Throne of the Fallen and Throne of Secrets in the spin-off series that I had ordered because I liked the first two so much. But because I disliked this so much and I didn't have time to read the other ones ahead of that pre-order, I did end up not ordering the pre-order. And now, of course, I've started Throne of the Fallen, and I'm actually enjoying that one a lot more. And like maybe it's because it's entirely different characters that it's focused on, but it's also such a different setting. And so I'm like, man, maybe I should have, maybe these other brothers are way more interesting. But I'm hoping that maybe with these two, I will be like, okay, that's fine. I can just get this third one from the library and just call it good. So I got an ad for a KU book. The book is How to Tell If Your Canine is a Demon. And it's about a demon who gets cursed into a dog and gets adopted by a cop to be their like canine companion. She is half angel, and so he thinks that she's going to like smite him and send him back to hell or like give him like a final death or whatever. Then he realizes that, oh, she doesn't realize that she's an angel. And so they build this relationship, and she's like, you're not a dog. You are way too smart, and like I can hear your thoughts sometimes. After several months of them working together, he regains some of his powers and is able to shift back into his human form. That premise might sound like really goofy, but it was actually really cute. I do think there could have been a little bit more like play with the smut, but like there wasn't a whole lot of it. And it was like such a weird time. Someone is trying to kill her, and they're having a meeting, giving each other heart eyes. And the other people are like, can you just like go take care of this? And they're like, actually, yeah, we can. And they go, and like the other people are like, we're gonna go wait outside. And so they just like go back into the bedroom, and you're like, this is such a weird time to be doing this. That was the only like, are we sure we should do this right now kind of moment, but it was fun. It was fun. I think if you're in for like a very unserious, like silly, goofy, fun time, and you like even remotely the sound of the premise, it was fun. It was way better than accidentally wedded to a werewolf, that's for sure. In order to read a couple more books really quickly, I also picked up volumes 12 and 13 of Apothecary Diaries. Had a really good time with them. I'm still further ahead in the anime than I am with the manga. It's still just so fun. Like, it's so goofy. I love Mao Mao. I love her relationship with Jinshi. It just is one of those stories where you're like, yeah, every time I read this, it really solidifies why I enjoy it. The last one is my favorite book of the month, and actually probably one of the best books that I've read all year. And it's actually an arc that I got from the publisher, so thank you to them. That would be The Winged Game by Sophie Kim. She is the author of The God and the Gumio. So this is like magical sports rivalry meets like fake dating meets curse mystery all rolled into one. So the sport is called Karawicket. So like all the players are on winged beasts. So wyverns, dragons, birds of some kind, Pegasus, you name it. So at the very beginning of this story, you have Tysa and then you have Keon, who they're on rival teams and they're in the middle of a game, and he spots an illegal luck glyph on the back of her neck and reports her. So she gets like essentially blacklisted, gets kicked off her team, has to like go off and live in this tiny town in Scotland and just is super isolated and like gets called a cheater, can't find a job anywhere, lowest of low after this happened. The main story takes place 2 years later, and he shows up on her doorstep to beg her to come play on his team. And she's like, you got me kicked out of this sport. What do you mean? Over the last 2 years, his team has slowly declined. They were in the major leagues at the beginning and like has since fallen to like the very bottom of the minor leagues and just is terrible. And they don't know why, because it's almost all the same players. And so he's like, you are the only person that I can bring in that can potentially help turn this team around. It starts off as this like really intense sports rivalry, and like they go at each other. As they get to know each other and learn more about each other, their relationship changes. And then like once certain things are revealed, they actually sit down and have a conversation. And once he understands like where she's coming from, he's like, oh, this was essentially all my fault. Like, not that she didn't do things to like egg the rivalry on, but he was like, that explains a lot. Their relationship just like totally drastically changes over the course of the book in such a fun way. And I think he is even grumpier than Silka from The God and the Grecian. Like, I didn't think that was possible because that man is grumpy, but I think Keon is even grumpier. And there are actually a couple really fun references to The God and the Gumio, like at least the city where it takes place in Korea. And then they might have been alluding to Soka, but I don't know exactly. Like, since it's been a while, I'm like, is that him? Or am I just missing the reference to a different character? I don't know. Like, it was one of those things where like I couldn't put it down. It was all I wanted to do. I devoured it. I think it took me 3 days to read, but mainly because I had to like go to work. So I don't know if this is a standalone or if it's going to be a duology. I would love more with these characters. I actually really want stories from some of the other players on the team because I think it would be really fun. Those were the 14 books that I managed to read. No, 15 books that I managed to read in March. I am hoping to do more in April. I did pull a collection of books that I would like to read, and some of them are like easy books. I would really love to actually start making some progress on some of these. Just feeling like I'm making more progress than I have been, and having the number be over 10 was really nice. I hope you guys had a great reading month and have had a really good start to your April reading month. But yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. Oh my goodness, look at this man. Yeah, hi. Oh, bunny kicks. Don't drop that. Oh my goodness. Ooh. What are you doing? You don't need to chomp that. What are you doing? Don't put that in your mouth. What are you doing? No, no, not the string. No. Don't you chomp that either. No, don't look at the string. You're so cute.